afternoon, welcome, or good evening. Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James channel that brings you all your latest Rangers news, guys. Right, so look, one of the big questions, obviously after the appointment of Russell Martin, was who would his backroom staff be? Obviously, he announced that Matt Gill and Rhys Owen would be joining. I think that was the name of the two guys anyway. Would be joining or was it Rhys Owen and Matt Gill? I can't remember what were their names now. Something like that. Would be joining, obviously, the staff of Rangers. And obviously, there was then a lot of speculation about who else is going to come in. Who else would be joining the staff? There was talk at one point of Stephen Naismith returning to coaching and becoming part of the coaching staff. And obviously, that caused a great deal of gnashing of teeth and wailing from some elements within the Rangers fans, including myself. Obviously, I didn't really want that rat back at the club. Matt Gill was that guy, and Rhys Owen was the name of the head of performance. The head of performance is Rhys Owen, and the assistant head coach is Matt Gill, someone obviously that Russell Martin worked with at Southampton and has known since his Norwich days. But today it has been announced that Rangers have added 2 new coaches to their coaching staff. Now, we already had a coaching staff of Russell Martin, Matt Gill, Brian Gilmore, who was the pathway coach, Hannah McLean, who was head of first team operations, head of scouting was Fraser Murray, and obviously Rhys Owen was head of performance, head of nutrition and performance was Craig Flanagan, Michael White was physical performance and reconditioning coach, Callum McMaster was physical performance coach, Kevin Bain, head of physiotherapy, and obviously Dr. Mark Waller, club doctor. But it's been announced today that 2 new names have been added to the Rangers coaching staff, and that is Mike Williamson and Sal Bibbo. So I'm guessing you're all saying who is Mike Williamson, who is Sal Bibbo. Well, Mike Williamson you may have heard of in terms of, if you know anything about Newcastle United. Mike Williamson did have a spell with Newcastle United. He was a centre-back, a defender, obviously someone who comes from that sort of school. So interesting, obviously, that they brought in this guy who was an ex-defender. And Sal Bibbo is the goalkeeping coach. So the official job titles that the two of them are taking on, Mike Williamson will be the first team coach, and Sal Bibbo will be the goalkeeping coach. So what do we know about Mike Williamson and Sal Bibbo? Well, Mike Williamson, like I said, has joined as first team coach. Williamson made over 400 senior appearances in his career, including 150 with Premier League side Newcastle United. This is a guy who has Premier League experience. He did have spells in management with Gateshead in the non-leagues. He's also been head coach at MK Dons and most recently at Carlisle United. That's where he has gained his coaching experience. It's not like this is a guy who is coming in with zero coaching experience and zero background in coaching. He brings that experience, doesn't he? So that's a positive. We're getting an experienced guy. He's 41 years old, Mike Williamson. He is from Stoke-on-Trent in England. Like I said, he used to be a centre-back. In terms of his managerial statistics during his time with Gateshead, he was a manager there for 175 games. He won 83 of them, drew 45, lost 47, had a win percentage of 47.4%. He was with the MK Dons as manager as well, 46 games there, 22 wins, 5 draws, 19 losses, a 47.8% win percentage, and then had a short spell as manager of Carlisle, where he was in charge of them for 25 games, winning 5, drawing 6, losing 14, for 20% win percentage. Now, I don't think we can obviously judge his win percentage, in terms of that. He's managerial. He's there as a coach. He's not there to lead it. At the end of the day, whatever he got as manager, as a win percentage, is really kind of not important, because a lot of people have proved over time that they're very, very good coaches, but absolutely dreadful managers. Someone like Peter Taylor, for instance, springs to mind. Peter Taylor, obviously, who was Brian Clough's right-hand man, had a go at being a manager and was genuinely dreadful at it. Yet, as Brian Clough's right-hand man, he was one of the very best assistant managers in the business. And I think after he passed away, Brian Clough really felt his loss. Now, I'm not obviously likening Mike Williamson to Peter Taylor or to Brian Clough in any way, shape or form. Brian Clough, in my opinion, the greatest manager of all time in the English game. The goalkeeping coach is a guy called Sal Bibbo. Now, what Sal Bibbo do? He brings a wealth of different experience. His coaching experience comes with Arsenal, Brighton, and Sheffield Wednesday. So all his experience is again in England. Again, he has worked with some pretty big clubs in England. The biggest, of course, being Arsenal. In that time, he also has worked with Mikel Arteta as well. So this is an experienced guy. This is a guy who was in demand, a guy who was wanted by other clubs, a guy who has always worked at very good English clubs, Arsenal, Brighton, and Sheffield Wednesday, big clubs in England. Arsenal especially obviously being one of the biggest clubs in English football. He featured as a goalkeeper, played for Reading in his playing career and Bath City in his playing career as well. And he's someone who Rangers have been linked with and have reportedly been on the track of since Russell Martin took over as the manager. On the appointments, Russell Martin said this: "I played with Mike at Wycombe Wanderers, so we go back a long way, and I know the qualities he can bring to this group. As a player, he played at the very top level, and his experience having been a coach and been a manager himself. I'm also really happy to bring in Sal into the team. He has a lot of experience and a strong track record developing goalkeepers. After speaking to him, it was clear that his knowledge and character will be a real asset to the players and the staff, and I am looking forward to working with them both." Sporting director Kevin Thelwell then added, "I would like to welcome both Mike and Sal to Rangers. They are both experienced coaches who will bring a lot of knowledge to our football club. Their addition strengthens Russell Martin's coaching team and reflects our continued commitment to building the best environment capable of delivering success on and off the pitch." So appointments of experienced guys, appointments of guys who Russell Martin knows, appointments of guys who can work within Russell Martin's system. That is the way of looking at this. And I get straight away, I understand what one of the criticisms will be, that none of these guys are Rangers men. None of these guys have played for the club. Russell Martin's played for the club, which kind of counteracts that one a little bit. But as I've said all along, we've got to get away from this. This has to be a Rangers man. It has to have Rangers men involved. It doesn't always work. It has worked, of course, in the past, but it doesn't always work. You look at the Barry Ferguson experiment. Barry Ferguson, Neil McCann, Billy Dodds, Alan McGregor. You can't get bigger Rangers men than those four guys. And look, whatever you think of Barry, and as a player, I loved him. As a captain, I loved him. He's a legend, a club legend, a player I loved. But as a manager, he was a disaster. Neil McCann as a coach wasn't great either. Neither was Billy Dodds, neither was Alan McGregor. Just look at the record Rangers had under those four. So, for me, it's about putting the best people in the best place. It's about putting round pegs in round holes, not round pegs in square holes or square pegs in round holes. These are clearly people that Russell Martin has faith in, clearly people who have good a level of experience. Like I said, Mike Williamson has played at the highest level for Newcastle United, who are, as we know, one of the biggest clubs in English football. They are an absolutely massive football club with a gigantic fan base. And I know nothing really compares to the pressure of playing for Rangers or the pressure of playing in front of the Ibrox crowd, but I can rest assured the pressure of playing at St James's Park in front of the Newcastle fans is major league. It is very big indeed. And football in the North East is a cauldron. Obviously, he managed a very low level in Gateshead, but he brings managerial experience, which obviously will be very good indeed. And Sal Bibbo's worked for Mikel Arteta. He's worked at Arsenal. This is a guy who brings again very good experience. He's he's obviously coached Sheffield Wednesday's goalkeepers as well. So again, vast experience incoming. And I think these are two very good appointments to Russell Martin's staff. Gives his staff a much more rounded feel to it now as well. Obviously, sort of thickens out the staff a little bit and leaves us in a better position with preparing the team going forward, especially obviously with the first pre-season friendly on Sunday against Bruges, and obviously building into the 22nd of July against Panathinaikos in the Champions League. Guys, let me know your thoughts on the appointments of Mike Williamson and Sal Bibbo. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. As always, if you've enjoyed the content, please like, comment, share and subscribe. And remember always, please never forget, we are the people.